Hey everyone, this is attorney Taiyyaba Qureshi with Helen Terakich Law. I am sitting in my car waiting for my child to be done with a sports practice. And so I was thinking that it would be a good time to take a few minutes to discuss trafficking in children's sports or minor sports or even higher leagues above that. So the people who I'd like to pay attention to this video are minors who are currently in a sports program and who need immigration options, or people who are now adults but were in sports when they were teenagers or children, and also parents of people who have been in sports. So kind of if any of those things apply to you, please pay attention. So how can trafficking happen in a sports situation for the student athletes? Like we said in our previous videos, trafficking can happen to anyone. It can have all kinds of victims, and it can happen from any source. And unfortunately, that includes sports teams, whether it's something like a sports club, an independent sports club, or something that's connected to a school. And the situation is really important to treat carefully because often when we're talking about sports and trafficking in sports, we're talking about minors, people under age 18. And so the rules for labor trafficking a person who is a minor are very similar to adults, but the rules for commercial sex trafficking are different because minors cannot consent to sex, no matter what goes on. A child under 18, if they are induced into sex, it is considered non-consensual during immigration law. So what could labor trafficking look like in a sports situation? So let's think about it this way, right? There is an agreement in a sports relationship that the child will play and learn and do whatever sport they're doing, and they will attend practices, they will have games or matches or whatever it is, what kind of sport it is, and the coaches will be teaching them, helping them, and guiding them to succeed, right? It might be, especially if we're getting into kind of league or school related sports, that there is a definite benefit to the institution itself, like to the school, if these students succeed. But whether or not there is like an institution tied to this sports practice, there's just this very natural desire of the children and the families involved to let the child have fun and succeed, and it can benefit them as an extracurricular activity. And so with that desire to succeed can come the opportunity for an abuser to take advantage of that situation. Now, labor trafficking requires the finding of force, fraud, or coercion, and that there's some kind of labor tied into that. Labor in a sports team can look something like making a child do excess cleaning, chores of the place where the sports is happening. So whether it's on a field, in a locker room, in like a, I don't know if you do like taekwondo and stuff, so like in like a dojo someplace. I don't know taekwondo words, sorry if you do and that was wrong, then tell me. But excess cleaning, excess chores, cleaning up the equipment, the sports equipment, gathering everything up in a field on a hot day. And of course, some of this is natural team building. It's part of the experience. But where we really want to look carefully is when it seems like the students are being made to do more than seems reasonable, or if some students who happen to be of an immigrant background are somehow targeted and they are being made to do more than some of the other students who, from the outside at least, don't seem like they come from an immigrant family. Once you get into the higher leagues of sports, in high schools, colleges, or even something independent outside of a school, but maybe it's still part of some kind of league, there may even be a written agreement of what the student athlete agrees to do, how many hours per week of practice and games or whatnot, and then in response, what kinds of services they can expect in terms of training from the coaches and staff, and maybe even parent volunteers who are involved. So once, especially if you have something written where there's like a clear expectation of what this agreement is, any work that the student is made to do outside of that might constitute labor trafficking, and it's really worth thinking about very carefully. Now, of course, the most painful thing to think about is commercial sex trafficking or any kind of inappropriate touching, sexual abuse, sexual harassment involving minors. It is something extremely difficult to think about and really just something to take very seriously in a T visa trafficking context. So, commercial sex trafficking is that same thing. We're looking for force, fraud, or coercion, and that in exchange there is a sex act. The thing that makes it commercial is that something of value is given or received by any person. Doesn't have to be the victim. It could be someone else that they care about receives something of value in exchange for the sexual act. Now, I said force, fraud, coercion, but when it's a minor, coercion is not part of the equation. If a sex act is induced, if a child is made to have sex, or if it's attempted on that child, and there's like some kind of grooming going on, then you might be in T visa territory. What could be the thing of value that is exchanged? It does not have to be money. Many people think that a commercial sex act requires the exchange of money. Anything of value. So, for example, a coach, a parent volunteer, some other kind of staff member might be grooming and preying on this child, expecting sex in return, and it could be even asking for pictures, asking for inappropriate touching. But the thing of value that could be exchanged would be a better position on the team, less laps that they have to run around, so easier physical practice, or just even the small gifts like stickers, pens, a new jersey, a new ball, new shoes, vape pens, anything that might be seen as something of value. And even reputation is something of value. So if there's a situation where some adult or even maybe like any older person who is preying on this child is trying to induce a sex act by the threat of blackmail or hiding or not passing on pictures of the child or spreading rumors about that person. So reputational harm can also be something, or the lack of reputational harm can also be something that is of value that could be the part of a sex trafficking T visa case. So again, if you were a student, athlete, or if you were participating in any kind of clubs and something uncomfortable happened to you in that process, whether you felt like you were being targeted to work more than seemed reasonable as part of the team, or whether it went even farther and someone was trying to make you have sex or asking for sex or any kind of attempted harassment like that. If you are a student who that has happened to, or if you are the parent of a student that has happened to, it is worth talking to an immigration law attorney to see if you may have any immigration options related to being a victim of trafficking in a sports situation. So please consult with an attorney and learn about what your options might be.